Hello people, and welcome back to part 16 of Noveria, our Cities Skylines snow build. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. And thank you for all the support and the suggestions and the kind comments, more importantly, on last episode's 4-way interchange build. It's not bad, definitely had some feedback about this tunnel, which I totally agree with, and I think we'll possibly come through and slightly refine this design during one of our Sunday live streams. Which apologies for the lack of content in the last week or so. I've been pretty ill, still am, but I'm trying to force an episode out. I don't really want to go a whole week without uploading. The algorithm will abandon me, as I mentioned several times in the series. As the episodes have gone on, today I want to start working a little more rurally with Noveria. Now I'm envisioning kind of maybe 3 or 4 distinct rural towns, some being bigger than the other and some being smaller. I'm thinking maybe we bring a rural town over at the foot of the dam. This is definitely a design everyone's keen to see, I think. So we'll do something here. We'll also do something over in this corner where we have the rail junctions. Okay, move a little higher density here. I think maybe get some complementary industrial riverside action to look over from the Carina Marina over here. Okay. And then the other one is going to be kind of sat at the foot of this mountain here. And this is the one that I want to work on today. So we'll see what we can do to help this squeeze in a little bit. So we've started out a national road, which is great news for everyone involved. Now I'm just going to start clearing out a chunk of forest, just so we're not eating too much into that tree count. We would of course reinstate the natural Novarian forest once we have our build kind of solidified today. Okay, so I think we're going to start out with aligning our central roads with the highway that we drew in last episode. Because when we snap into that angle, and let's just go for a nice measurement of 50 tiles right now. Okay, give ourselves a kind of a base arterial, if you will, right? Something of a starting point to work with today. Now, in terms of public transport for this area, we cannot continue to bottleneck everyone through this roundabout. We would, of course, bring the cycle network over to this town, which will be fantastic. We also have to remember that we have some underground metro opportunities out of this metro station from the transport hub as well. And there's also the possibility for train action too. We do have a national line here. Now the best train and metro transport hub is the one from Sunset Harbour. Now I'm wondering if we can get away with this in... Again, it's not really a rural build. It is rural, but not like it's not close and rural, you know. it's not that bad. But I want to do something with this asset today, just because it's got the train and the metro integrated into it, and I think that's going to be a really nice opportunity. And this will allow people to start traveling to and from. Of course, this is only accepting intercity trains, but down the line, this will become a passenger line as towns. Builds appear around this line here and get another station down to this area too. Hoping to have quite an expanded train system for Noveria if we compare it to something like Palavin's, which was fairly limited. So let's continue our main arterial line down here. I'm just trying to think of the distance, because I think we'll probably surround this with a city park. They work quite nicely, these things, when they're in that kind of park environment. It's essentially like a public transport botanical garden, isn't it? Okay, so I do want the rail to, or the metro to flow for a little bit, and then as we reach this point, we will sink underground. Which again, I think is enough time for this to run. Okay, very nice. And then we'll simply grab our freeform tool and head on over to the underground metro station. So we've now got underground metro and national train lines hooked in to the new town, which will be very nice. So let's now focus on getting our road infrastructure ready and available. So of course we'll come back to our arterial here. We'll lose a little bit of forestry fence, but that's okay. Now imagine this will become National Road, but for right now, we'll stick with arterial until we... Okay, so we'll start with Main Street, right? So it's a sensible place to start, I think, isn't it? Okay, so I think we could definitely get away with this from a rural point of view. It's not quite as obnoxious as I thought it would be when kind of first considering it, so I think we'll stick with it. And let's start running some larger, more community-focused assets. Let's maybe start throwing down some of the healthcare stuff. Community pool, always a nice addition. Let me not forget about the snow parks, of course. Let's go for possibly an ice skating rink. Okay. Let's jot down some elder care and some child care as well, and we'll hopefully just see a little bit of an important vibe starting to form with a lot of these assets sitting next to each other. Okay. Not bad. And then let's start bringing in some roads. So of course we want to specifically zone. Now with the green cities stuff, it's not really that important to specifically zone out in the lower levels. A lot of the assets work kind of nicely when they're mixed and matched with different size zonings. But I'm almost kind of after this little town to be like a little eco-friendly project, I guess is the take-home phrase, right? Okay, so we're getting some residentials here. And then I want to possibly introduce some high density within this space too. So we'll see what we can do to accommodate this. I think this will be fairly nice. Possibly a way to integrate our cycle highway into the area. I do wonder. Let's come down onto our lowest elevation, and then we'll come into our grid. We're going to elevate just like that. We of course do like the slightly elevated cycle highway. It's a lot better than the one on the ground, I think, isn't it? I'll just double check our measurement here. We're at a cost of 60. Come back up. And then I will factor some kind of entrance into the park for a cycle highway here. It's nice to see we've already got some folks waiting at the unpowered metro station, which we can hopefully squeeze through some power to. Now let's go ahead and paint out this park area from the park gate that we just dropped in. Okay, let's bring this down in the old faithful road snapping. There we go. Got a nice neat district. There's a little bit of a bulge there, isn't that? There we go. Just trim it up a little bit. Okay, let's just throw down some temporary park spice so the station becomes powered. And then we'll hopefully start to see some folks coming and going from this. So I 100% want lots of elevated walking infrastructure to come out from this station. Okay, so we'll bring it down here. And again, we'll just... so we can come down a little bit closer to the edge of the station there. Yeah, that's about right. Let's do it on the angle instead. There we go. Kind of melds in the bottom of the pathway. A little more kind of uniformly with the station. Okay, let's come back onto road length now. And again, we'll want to come out just to where we can squeeze one in. And then we'll come down into here. Okay. So this is fine for the minute. And then what I think we'll do is actually switch up to elevated cycleway here. Now the cyclists, they will still use the pedestrian paths, they will just prioritise the cycling paths. There's a really good asset on the workshop actually that kind of forms the two together. We're using it in 5B1C. So we're getting some nice park and cycling vibes now. It'll be interesting to see how many people choose to use this. There is some cyclists coming through. Now I wonder if it's better to just keep this elevated. It probably is, isn't it? So we're getting some people arriving via the national trains now as well. And then a really hot amount of people arriving via the metro too. So see the path there, just walking around here. Heading down onto Main Street, which is nice. Alright. Cool. So yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Let's elevate this cycle network instead. So that distance of 204. Replicate that this side. Wonderful. And then what we can do here is just introduce a couple little on and off junctions around the pathway for those that want to come and get on and off of our cycle network. Fantastic. So let's come onto our park fence now. And then we'll just snap to our angle. And then yeah, we're going to run this all the way down. And then we'll of course want to place in a secondary gate here. So I think this should give us quite a nice aesthetic for the cycle network. It's a shame we can't cross over at 2 inclines up. It has to be 3 to get over the road, but if you are playing with Move It, of course, you won't have that issue. And then we want to bring this right up to the edge of the station like that. Let's have a look at some people get off the metro here. Very nice. Let's have a look at the line details. So yeah, this metro's starting to pick up a little bit of colour now. I'm not overly happy with the colour green. So we go for what a sharp red. Very nice. There we go. Okay, so let's get this part path hooked in. And of course, during our D10 time lapse, there is ample opportunity. Oh, they're actually connecting through here. Okay. Walking dangerously close to the edge of the tracks. Do I mind that? I don't think I do. Yeah, a lot of them are actually coming to use this connection. Which I don't mind, it does kind of look like a little step. Unsure. Unsure on that one, I think, aren't we? Oh, there we go, someone just picked up the cycle network. Nice. People are... I'm guessing they're disappearing because we've just rejoining the paths. There we go, here's the first person now that can come through. Amanda Hunter. So already first person, you know, this town's going to sit at the bottom of this very dramatic ridge. It's going to be quite nice, I think, isn't it? Speed up a little bit, see where she's going. Breakneck speeds. Turning these corners. So yeah, out the park gate and then onto the busy main street. So actually heading to school by the looks of it. Very nice. Interesting to see how many people pick up this little slip road as well into the highway. That should be interesting. However, let's work on the high density residential part of today's build. I don't want to satisfy it all with just low density res, so I'm thinking we'll come through with a tree road. And we're just going to meander some really slight curves, okay? Nothing overly complicated or kind of strange, right? Just going to keep this meandering around and then hook it in there. And then very sporadic random placements of Green City's high density residential here. So there's a few assets in mind that I'm after for this kind of design. Okay, keep them all coming up here. Maybe one in here too. And then one over here as well. And then how I want this to grow up is by surrounding it with a very thick conifer forest. Now I think this should be quite a nice design. So again, we'll provide another entry point into the cycle network here. Of course, these guys will want all the regular services. Let's maybe throw in a police station along the main street too. And possible fire station spice here. We'll see. And then we'll let some organic green city zoning grow up here. And then just so these don't whinge about power, let's throw in Oh no, there we go. We're good. There we go. Right, they're fine. Okay, yeah, so basically all these historical, as they come in, don't want them moving past level 1. May use plot the growables to refine this idea today as well. Okay, now in terms of the fencing along the rail, I think we'll go for, again, we want to hook in very tightly with the metro station itself, all the way down the road. It looks like, yeah, we're in a distance of about 2 tiles here, aren't we? So let's bring this one over here. And then we'll run it just within the outside tile. Of course, the lines aren't perfectly parallel here, but we can eyeball it up. Alright, and I think this fence will just help frame the rail a little bit more as it comes in. And then we'll have a look at the idea of how a little forested block of high density residential might be able to help us pop out. Let's come on to our Noveria forest. Okay, and then I just want to start bringing in a few little splatterings of this forest brush all around the base of the high density residential. Okay, keeping the trees off the side of the rail. Okay, so let's get our 3-speed going on here. Let's get all these guys in. I think that should be all the zonings are painted out, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I think it's okay. Especially when we're looking down here, we're moving away from that very straight, rigid grid. We've got some nice flowy roads, and the snowy green cities, high density residential assets, just work really nicely with this idea, I think. Okay, I think they do. I think what it definitely does want, though, is perhaps some supporting commercial alongside the main street. So we'll run a few little blocks of 2x2 commercial here. And there is plenty of opportunities for repeated pattern spies here as well if we wanted. But we'll see. We'll kind of see how it happens, okay? See what develops. So, looks like all my 4x4s here are filled in. So now a case of just swooping through with the other angle. There we go. Very nice. Let's also create ourselves some room, some pathways. So we'll switch down into 3x3s here, just where we accommodate the introduction of a pathway. And I think what we'll do is, just so we have that pedestrian crossing, is come out with a dirt road first of all, and then we will come down into dirt pathway. Oh, looks like we can possibly run this adjacent. Yes, we can. And then we can come into our grid, and then we can just feed these through the middle. So that's going to keep everyone walking. And then again, there's lots of opportunity for decoration of zoning and rock gardens alongside the main road. Well, let's see what we get coming in here. Okay, so a big lover of these. We like the farmer's market spice here. And we can see how it performs when it's organically repeated. I think I enjoy that. Definitely don't want car parks for once. For one time we don't want car parks along this main street. Let's look at adding in an elementary school for these guys, because they won't have one at the minute. And I think we have to go for the Green Cities one. Get a unicorn sculpturing part behind it. And then we can extend this park asset with drawn on pathways. And again, we just select the tree that comes with the asset itself, and we can now just naturally expand that out to encompass our school. And that's going to give us a little block of services as we arrive into the town. Nice little bit of roadside commercial here as well. And because we have saved that tile space, we can come through with some immediate path between road action if we wanted. Although I think this is getting into the realm of too tree spicy now, isn't it? So maybe we come down for the one without decorations. I think especially with the trees running through the middle of the arterial road. So we can just keep that going all the way down if we want. Plenty of design and opportunity, I'm sure. Okay. But we're now getting some decent amount of people using the cycle highway. So this just goes to show the power of a cycle network. They really will cycle a long way to get out here, which is nice. It's just going to force this main bike interchange to become busier and busier. You just think, you know, you can kind of see how many people are cycling. If this infrastructure wasn't here, they would all be driving. And you can imagine, you know, how many more cars would be on this road. And I think this intersection will definitely be choking without the support of the bike network. So nice to see it getting so much use and in so many different directions now as well. Okay. Very nice. But this little town out here now, Nowhereia, is just starting to get itself established, I think, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carry on zoning up specifically with some low density residential. Keep everyone coming in. Now it's like we're getting a little bit of death as well at the elder care centre, which is not doing its job. So we'll probably provide a cemetery for these folks as well. And let's keep growing our population. And then I think what we'll do is this side of the town just starts to close out against the ridge of the mountain. Is bring in a little connection into our national high-speed road. It won't get tremendous amounts of uses, I don't think, this one, but I guess we'll see. And I will just realise there's no real reason for this to dip back down now, as the cycle highway runs along this side, so we'll just run it in as one straight connection at the same height. That's going to be fine. I do, however, like it dipped over here against the high density res, so we will leave that unstated. Okay. I've also placed in some plazas just around the ridge of the metro station, because super loud asset, they won't enjoy having to listen to that all day. And I think we're just going to border this up with some path between plaza action. And then where we have these spaces here, just introduce a couple of small batches of 4x3 commercial. And let this kind of grow into its own square, I guess. Is the take home point. We can probably continue to repeat the pattern and leave another little 4x3 pattern next door. And then see what it is that we can do with that. Let's also do it this side as well. Okay, and then that'll just trim one of those houses down into a 4x3. So let's continue to make sure that we zone these up. Again, asset selection is going to be important. And as to what kind of vibe develops here. Don't mind those, they're fairly nice. Kind of merges onto the back of the central plaza over here as well, and make sure we're working with assets that we do enjoy. Okay, but we are actually respecting the topography and moving briefly up onto the mountainside here. Where we are getting some zonings outside of the green cities, but we'll move our zoning back in here. But we're just getting a nice little view across this town centre now. Alright, just a little mountain foot community. Clearly haven't decided on the name of this episode yet, so we're still waiting, but there we go. You can see all of our 4x4 zonings are filled in now. So it's just a case of doing the rest of them. You do have to, of course, be careful of death waves and whatnot. They're not particularly fun, but can mostly be avoided just by doing it in kind of short bursts rather than massive amounts in one go. Let's maybe throw something from the park life assets. Trampoline park, perhaps. That might work for what we want it to. Let's make sure we're grabbing these guys up on the hill as well. And then we won't really take the community any higher up the mountain at this point. Bring that natural forest back down off the slopes and see what we can do. So discussing some final elevated path placements, just joining another dirt road through here. Which of course generate those pedestrian crossings for us, keep everyone moving around. How about we run from this point, come up by 3, and then extend by 11, and then we can just repeat that. And just double check the distance here, we're at 222, and then come back down into both here, and connect at that point. So keep everyone walking about the city, of course. And if we did want to decorate the side of the fencing, there's always more chances to run. A pathway with decorations through there, which I think I enjoy. I don't think that's the worst thing ever. And there's already some folks picking that up on the way through. Okay, very nice. We do have tiniest amount of industrial demand. Let's see how the forestry is doing. You guys should be... Yeah, we're only about 70 workers away from hitting level 5 forestry now. So we'll probably finish that on stream, I imagine, adding in the port mills and whatnot. And then we definitely want to have some kind of graveyard facility for these guys too. Alright, and then there's possible opportunities for pathways to, of course, follow the curve of the road up to the cemeteries. Develop some nicer, organic-looking greenbelt off the back of this path network. And then just keep everyone moving around. But I think some little mountaintop churches almost will be a nice little addition to this smaller town. Okay. And then I think there's always opportunity here for population expansion, although I don't want this to grow too big, because eventually we'll end up just filling this area and merging into this town when I very much want it to be kind of a separate area of the map. So we don't really want to bring the population this far out. We'll perhaps just bring in kind of maybe a smaller garbage processing build within this space here. I guess we'll see, right? It's kind of see what the city needs. However, guys, that does feel like a good place for a detailing time-lapse. So we've got a fair bit to do here. Of course, reinstate the natural Noverian forest, because this town looks very naked and on its own at the moment. So we want to make sure that we are factoring that in. Also bring in probably another slip road off the highway into this town as well. See if anyone picks that up. Again, just keeping everyone movable. Decorate our park with some fairly simple park assets, things we've done a million times before. And then continue to specifically zone up on my hillside here as the residential population comes in. Oh, look at this now. There are people using the national road to get in and out of the area. Kind of looks like just as many people that are using this one here as well. Interesting. This definitely won't be the final junction, of course. But yeah, otherwise, let's detail it up, and then we'll see what it looks like on the end, shall we? Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, a like below and comments are always appreciated. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Really cute build today, and it's nice to kind of move away from that initial larger starting town of Noveria and start to develop some more unique population centres in the four corners of the map as we now head a little more rurally with today's build. Not a full rural build, I don't think. And we'll make the rival town to Nowhereia, which will be called Somewhereia, a lot more rural. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into something of an industrial nightlife riverfront on the opposite side to Carina Marina in the coming episodes. However, the downtown road network frame is very much calling me. I am I'm getting the downtown itch, I think. So maybe next week we'll do the downtown road layout. But otherwise, I will shut up and I will leave it there. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.